Hello there, everybody. My name is Ashley Hunt. I'm the Senior Project Management Instructor, and I get a lot of emails from people about how to do certain things because in a PMP class, a lot of it is theory, right? And even though there would be no way that I could say, hey, here's how you change your processes in your organization, we can certainly talk about some best practices for identifying stakeholders and also getting your team's buy-in, especially if you're trying to change something about the way that you're doing things. And that could be for improvement in quality processes, improvement in how to work at home virtually. There's a lot of different things that maybe we want to change. But change can be a little bit painful, especially in organizations. And organizational needs do change. I mean, think about what's going on in the world right now. Maybe you were in the office and now all of a sudden you're virtual. And so we have to improve our processes in order to match what's going on either in the world or in our organization. So anytime you're running a project, stakeholder analysis is going to be absolutely crucial. For a lot of reasons. One, to make sure that you collect all the requirements. Two, to make sure that you have buy-in for project work. And three, just so you know who they are and what their expectations are for the project, as well as setting up different leadership strategies that will work best for your team to get that buy-in, to get that motivation up. And times are tough, right? So these are going to be things that we need to focus on as project managers, certainly the deliverables. But at the same time, where are some practical areas that we can focus on and change? How can we improve and focus on continuous improvement? So one of the best ways is to actually document your processes. And I know that's a big ask because maybe there's a ton of different steps and you all do different things, but it might be a good conversation to have on a Zoom call or face-to-face if you can do that. You're looking for areas where you can improve your processes and apply what's called a Kaizen burst. Kaizen, two Japanese words that loosely translated as change for the better or continuous improvement. There's no way that you can scrap an entire process. No way that you can just go in and say, we're going to start over. So what you're looking for are the areas that you can improve upon and only change those that you can control. Otherwise, it's like banging your head against a very large brick wall because it's impossible to change some of the ways that our organizations do business, good, bad, or otherwise. Stakeholder analysis is a big piece of this. Let's find out who our stakeholders are, what they want from the project, what they think about our processes, what about their expectations, what are their risk thresholds. We need to clarify who those stakeholders are and outline a requirements change process, knowing that their requirements will probably change. And they always do. We know that. But if we can stay in front of it and really get a good understanding of what their expectations are, that's going to go a very long way to determining the best way to interact with them and your process improvements. So stakeholder analysis, we want to make sure that we're looking at risk. Different stakeholders are affected by risk in different ways. Some people are risk takers, some are risk averse completely, some are risk neutral, like, if you can convince me one way or the other, I'll do that. So what we're trying to do is figure that out first and then determine who they are, what their expectations are, and what their communication strategies need to be. So as a project manager, we need to talk to our teams and say, what are your expectations for this project? Hey, stakeholders, what are your expectations? How does successful completion of this project benefit you? The answers could be very different. Benefits the team in one way, benefits the customer, the sponsor, the organization, and others. And it happens, are there any stakeholders who maybe are in a little bit of conflict with your interests or the project's interests? And how do we interact with those difficult stakeholders? I mean, every single PMP class that I teach, everybody's like, yep, I've been there. I've had difficult stakeholders. So what we really want to do is try and get to know them. Maybe this is a mental process for you. Maybe you want to track the influence or the estimated project importance and then make some assumptions and document risk based on what you currently know. So assessing interest and influence here, we have stakeholder one, let's say a sponsor. Their influence over the project is high. Now, they might be answering to somebody in a PMO or something, so that's why it's not a straight across 10, but they still have high influence. And the estimated project importance. Where does your project fall in priority? Right now, maybe it's a high priority for the sponsor. What assumptions and risks? Is providing resources, but requirements are currently non-specific. That is a risk. That is a stakeholder that we need to delve a bit deeper into what they're looking for so that we can adapt. Now look at our team. Estimated project influence, especially in a predictive environment, probably pretty low. I mean, they're going to do the work. Chances are your team is working on multiple projects at the same time. So maybe this particular project's importance is a little bit lower on the threshold for that team. The team is high performing, but has requested additional training. That means maybe they're about to undertake something that is more difficult than their skill set. So if they're high performing, we know they're going to do their jobs, but potentially we are able to also get them the training that they need to be most effective. And that's just an example of how you can go through all of your stakeholders and start to really document what it is that they need and any risks or assumptions. And you might have to adapt your leadership style. Adjust your style based on the current situations and needs of your team and other stakeholders. Some of these might not fit you. They might not fit your personality, or you're not necessarily able to adapt and adjust the way that you want to. But here's a whole list. I'm going to go through each one of them pretty high level. This is on the PMP exam as well. The current exam, the new exam, everything. So it's definitely good information if you plan on taking your PMP as well. Democratic, that makes sense. This is the most effective. This takes the team, other stakeholders into consideration. We collect their input, and then we make a democratic decision. Autocratic is, no, we're doing it this way. And that's rarely effective if you're not taking anybody's input into consideration. Obviously, if it's regulatory compliance or something like that, but that's not what we're talking about. We want to take everybody's thoughts and inputs into consideration as much as possible. Laissez-faire translates to let them do. You've got a high-performing team. The team is trusted. This is very effective, especially in agile environments. Strategic. All right, we're focusing on the main operations, and that is our focus as managers, but we also want to make sure that our team has what they need. And so we're looking at both sides of the equation here and making the best decisions that we can. That's pretty effective. It's commonly effective. Transformational. Some project managers like to push the limits of their team's capabilities, push them out of their comfort zone, and give them new skills or higher goals. This is sometimes effective, but with our high-performing team asking for more training, transformational leadership might be the best case there. Transactional. This is the carrot. This is, here's your reward for being awesome. Sometimes it's effective, but sometimes your team might expect it, and therefore they're then demotivated if they don't get it. So you want to set really good expectations and let them know, hey, if you do this, you get this. Coaching, that's my favorite. Focus on the individual skills, the team, help them elevate and get where they need to go. It's a very effective way to interact with your people. Bureaucratic, by the book. Follow the rules. May reject input if it goes against the rules of the organization and the norms, and that's rarely effective. Makes it very difficult to improve processes because they're saying, no, we've always done it this way. No, 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 no. And then we're not able to influence our organizational processes to update them for the health of the organization. Improving processes, the hardest part is determining what to change. Once you determine the areas to apply your Kaizen, you need to practice. It takes about 7 times to build a habit. Mistakes will be made, things will change, people will go back to the way they've always done things, so we have to stay on top of it. It's not a magic bullet where all of a sudden we're changing this and everybody goes, yay, and they do it right. Doesn't always work that way. So we do have to practice, determine what works and what does not work. Something that sounds good in execution might not be overly effective. Present the successes to management in writing. You cannot change people's minds without proof. And so if you can document how this little tweak in your process improved maybe your schedule, your budget, your quality, your scope outputs, your deliverables, then management starts to look at it and say, okay, there's the proof, rather than us just saying, I think we should change this because XYZ could occur. So those are just some of my advices for some of the process improvements, different leadership styles, and all of this is going to be on the PMP exam as well. But it's good information to think about in the real world and start to determine what process aspects can we change? Can we do a better job identifying stakeholder expectations? And if we do a better job, can we provide the best leadership for our team to get the buy-in to change the processes so that we can prove to management it actually works? So I hope that helped. That's good information for you guys. And as mentioned, it's also on the PMP exam. So if you're studying for that, this information is good to know as well.